When you control your reaction, you control the outcome. They broke their silence. What now? That one small message, that random call out of nowhere. It feels harmless, right? But my friends, this moment is bigger than you think. This is where 99% of people fail. This is where people lose their frame, throw away all their progress, and go back to square one without even realizing it. So before we dive in, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, because what I'm about to tell you could save you months, maybe even years, of heartbreak and wasted energy. Stay with me until the end, because I'm going to show you how to be the 1% who never fails this test. Hey folks, imagine this for a second. You've finally found your peace. You've done the hard work. Maybe you started hitting the gym. Maybe you picked up your old hobbies. Maybe you just started smiling again without forcing it. Life feels like it's finally moving forward. And then, ping, a message. Hey, how have you been? And just like that, it's like a storm you thought had passed is suddenly back over your head. Those emotions you buried deep. They rush back like waves crashing against rocks. You feel that urge to reply instantly, to say everything you've been holding in, to let them know you've been waiting. But that, my friends, is where most people fall. Here's the lie we've been told. When someone finally breaks their silence, it must mean they've realized what they lost. It must mean they've missed you, right? Wrong. Most of the time, it's not about missing you. It's about checking if they still have power over you. They want to see if you'll still drop everything the second they give you attention. And the truth? That's not love. That's control. Think about it like this. If someone really valued you, they wouldn't vanish for weeks or months just to show up with a casual, hey. That's like abandoning a house, letting it fall apart, and then suddenly coming back just to check if the lights are still on. It's not about building something real. It's about making sure they can still get in whenever they want. And here's where the real test begins, because the way you respond in this moment will reveal exactly who you are now. Are you still the same person who waits by the phone, desperate for validation? Or are you the person who's grown, who knows their worth, who doesn't move just because someone finally decided to show up again? Folks, I'm telling you right now, this moment matters. Real power isn't in how fast you react. Real power is in your pause. It's in being the person who doesn't get shaken by a single message. It's in being calm, patient, and unbothered, because you've built a life where you are the prize, not the option. So stay with me, because today I'm going to break down exactly what to do when they finally break their silence. No games, no desperation, just clear, powerful moves that keep you in control. And if you're ready to be in that 1% who doesn't fail this test, drop "I hold the frame" in the comments right now. Say it, write it, claim it. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't yet, and let's go on this journey together. Because from this moment on, you're done chasing, done reacting, and done losing your peace. Stay with me, my friends. We're just getting started. Number 1, they're not back for you, they're back for themselves. Ego doesn't miss you, it just misses having control over you. My friends, this is where so many people get fooled. They see that message, that call, that "Hey, how have you been?" and their heart jumps. Their mind whispers, "Finally, they realized what they lost. They missed me." But here's the brutal truth. Most of the time, they're not coming back for you. They're coming back for themselves. They're coming back to check if they still have a piece of you. Think of it like this. Imagine you left a door unlocked to a house you used to own. Every now and then, you pass by just to see if you can still open it. You don't really want to live there again. You just want to know it's still yours if you feel like it. That's what this is. That "hey" isn't always love. It's a key turning in a lock to see if the door is still open. Ask yourself this: if they really valued you, would they have disappeared for weeks, months, maybe even longer without explanation? Would someone who truly loves you leave you in silence, letting you wonder, hurt, and heal all alone, only to reappear like nothing happened? No, love doesn't vanish and return on convenience. Effort doesn't come and go like the weather. But here's why it's so easy to fall for this illusion. Deep down, we crave validation. We want to feel chosen again. We want the person who hurt us to finally say, "I made a mistake. You were the one all along." It's a fantasy we hold on to, a storyline where we get the apology, the happy ending, the proof that we were worth it. And so, when that message pops up, our brain fills in the gaps with hope, not reality. But you have to see the truth, my friends. This isn't always love. Sometimes it's boredom. Sometimes it's curiosity. Sometimes it's ego panicking because they feel you slipping away, becoming harder to reach, harder to control. They sense your energy has shifted. Maybe they saw you smiling in a photo. Maybe they heard you've been doing better. Maybe they just felt that you stopped chasing. And suddenly, they wonder, do I still have them if I want them? This is why so many people fail right here. They think, if I reply fast, if I show I care, they'll finally stay this time. But the faster you jump, the more power you give away. You're showing them they can disappear and still have you waiting. You're telling them, without saying a word, it's okay to treat me like an option. I'll still be here. And that kills attraction. That kills respect. That kills any chance of building something real. It's not easy to accept this truth. It hurts. It hurts to admit that maybe they're not back because they love you. Maybe they're back because they love knowing they still can. But real growth, real power, comes from seeing things for what they are, not for what you wish they were. So the next time they break the silence, ask yourself, is this real connection, or is this just them checking if I'm still on the hook? Because a person who truly missed you wouldn't just send a lazy, "Hey," they'd come with clarity. They'd come with effort. They'd come with honesty. They wouldn't waltz back into your life like nothing happened. They'd show up ready to rebuild what they broke. And if that's not what they're doing, then you hold the frame. You don't get pulled back into the same cycle that hurt you before. You stay grounded, patient, and in control. Because, my friends, a high-value person doesn't just let someone stroll back in after leaving them in silence. You're not a revolving door. You're not an option sitting on a shelf waiting to be picked up again. You are the prize. And when you start believing that, when you start acting like it, that's when everything changes. So say it right now and write it in the comments. I am no one's fallback option. Say it for yourself, show it to yourself, and let the world see it too. Because this moment, right here, is where you decide if you're going to be like the 99% who fail, or if you're going to be the 1% who never gives their power away again. Stay with me, because we're just getting started. The next part will show you why reacting too fast is the biggest trap people fall into, and how holding back, not chasing, is what makes you unstoppable. Number 2, the trap of instant gratification. The moment you react too fast, you tell them you've been waiting. Here's where so many people lose it. The message comes in, the call happens, and boom, you're replying instantly, typing out a paragraph, giving away every ounce of power you just spent weeks building. My friends, this is exactly why 99% fail. Because the second you react without thinking, you've already shown them you were waiting. And nothing kills respect and attraction faster than someone who looks too easy to get back. Think of it like this. Imagine a lion in the wild. A lion doesn't jump the second it sees movement. It waits, it watches, it studies. It knows its power comes from patience, from control, from never moving out of desperation. But what do most people do when someone breaks their silence? They act like an eager puppy, running to the door the second they hear a knock. And just like that, all the mystery, all the progress, all the self-respect they built is gone in a moment. You've got to understand something. How you respond right now sets the entire tone going forward. If you reply instantly, you're telling them without saying a word, yes, you can leave whenever you want, and I'll still be here waiting for you. And deep down, people don't respect what's too easy to get. They respect what's earned. They value what has boundaries. They're drawn to what doesn't bend just because they decided to show up again. But here's the hard part. Your emotions are going to scream at you to reply. That rush of dopamine when you see their name on your screen, it tricks you into thinking, if I answer right now, this time it'll finally work out. You'll convince yourself that replying fast shows you care, that it'll bring them closer. But let me tell you the truth. Chasing never created respect. Reacting instantly never created desire. The people who hold the power in relationships are the ones who move with intention, not impulse. Ask yourself this. If they made you wait for weeks or months, why should you rush now? Why should you throw away your progress just because they decided you're worth a little attention again? Real power is in the pause. Real power is knowing you don't owe anyone instant access to your life anymore. Think of your attention like a luxury car. If you just hand over the keys to anyone who asks, what's it really worth? But if someone has to earn it, if they have to show effort and value to even sit in the passenger seat, suddenly your time, your presence, your energy, it all becomes priceless. That's how you have to start treating your attention. It's not free, it's not instant, it's for people who prove they deserve it. I know it's hard. I know it feels like you might lose them if you don't reply right away. But if someone's presence in your life depends on you abandoning your standards, they were never worth having in the first place. People who truly want to be in your life will respect your pace. They'll understand that they can't just vanish and return without consequence. And here's the real truth. Every time you delay your response, every time you breathe, think, and move slowly, you're silently telling them, I'm not where you left me. I've grown. I have options. My world doesn't revolve around you anymore. That is power. That is what creates respect. That is what separates you from the 99% who fail. So the next time you see that message pop up, stop. Don't rush. Don't act like they just did you a favor by reaching out. Remember, you are the prize. You don't reward inconsistency with instant access. You don't throw away your frame just because they finally decided to acknowledge you again. It's not about being rude. It's about respecting yourself enough to slow down, to evaluate, to respond with intention, not emotion. Because once you lose your frame, you lose their respect. And once you lose their respect, everything else crumbles. My friends, the man or woman who controls the pause controls the outcome. That gap between their message and your response, that's where all your power lives. Don't give it away. Don't be the person who proves they've been waiting. Be the person who shows, without saying a word, that your life moves forward whether they're in it or not. So say it right now and write it in the comments. Patience is my power. Say it for yourself. Show it to yourself. Let the world see it. Because every time you hold that pause, you prove you're not like everyone else. You prove you've grown. You prove you've become the one thing they didn't expect, someone they can't control anymore. And stay with me, because the next part is where it gets even deeper. I'm going to show you why they always seem to come back right when you're finally doing better, and how to make sure that when they do, you never lose yourself again. Number 3, why they always come back when you've leveled up. The moment you stop chasing is the moment they start noticing. Have you ever realized how they always seem to return right when life finally feels lighter? It's strange, isn't it? They vanish when you're broken, when you're confused, when you would have done anything to keep them around. But the second you start glowing again, when you've started moving forward without them, suddenly they're back. My friends, that's not a coincidence. That's human nature. Here's what most people never understand. Energy doesn't lie. People can feel when you've stopped orbiting around them. They can sense when your life is moving without their presence. When you were chasing, waiting, hoping, they had all the power. They knew you were available whenever they wanted. But the moment you let go, the moment you truly started living again, something shifted. It's like this. Imagine a magnet. When you keep pushing it towards someone, the energy repels. But the moment you pull away, suddenly the attraction is felt again. It's not magic, it's psychology. People crave what they feel slipping away. They crave what feels rare, what feels harder to reach. And when you finally stop feeding their ego, when you stop proving you'll always be there, that's when their curiosity wakes up. Maybe they saw you out smiling with friends. Maybe they noticed you stopped watching their stories. Maybe you posted a small win, something that showed you're not stuck anymore. And in their mind, the thought creeps in, wait, are they actually moving on without me? That thought terrifies their ego, because suddenly they realize they no longer have the grip they once did. But here's the part you need to understand. Just because they come back when you've leveled up doesn't mean they deserve to be part of your new chapter. Growth is attractive. Strength is attractive. People are drawn to those who rise after being broken. But attraction without respect means nothing. If they didn't value you when you were giving everything, why should you trust them just because they came back after you rebuilt yourself? This is where most people get trapped. They confuse attention with genuine care. They think, finally, they see my worth. But more often than not, it's not about love. It's about fear. Fear that you're becoming someone they can't control anymore. Fear that you're truly gone this time. Fear that you might become the one that got away. It feels flattering when they return. It feels like all the growth you've done has finally been noticed. But remember this, validation from the very person who hurt you is the cheapest kind of validation there is. Because true growth isn't about making them see what they lost. It's about becoming so focused on your own life that whether they see it or not doesn't even matter anymore. Think about it. If you were a millionaire and someone who once abandoned you suddenly wanted to check in, would you instantly give them access to your life again? No. You'd ask yourself, where were you when I had nothing? Why now? That's the mindset you need here. If they weren't there when you were climbing, they don't get to suddenly appear when you've reached a new peak. This is why Stoicism is so powerful. It teaches you to detach from the outcome. You don't grow just to prove a point. You grow because it's who you're meant to become. You become better not to win them back, but because you refuse to stay broken forever. And when they do come back, and trust me, they will, that's when you get to decide from a place of power, not need. Because real strength isn't in saying yes. Real strength is in knowing you don't have to. It's in realizing that the very version of you they ignored is gone. You've evolved, you've leveled up. And now, if they want a place in your life, it won't be free. It will require effort, honesty, and real commitment, things they weren't willing to give before. So the next time they come back, right when you're doing better, pause. Ask yourself, do they love me or do they just miss the control they used to have? Because if it's not genuine, letting them back in is like inviting a storm into the house you just rebuilt. Don't destroy your progress for someone who only shows up when the sun is shining. Say it right now and write it in the comments. My growth is my revenge. Say it proudly. Show it to yourself. Let the world see it. Because the best revenge isn't proving them wrong. It's living so well that they realize they no longer have the power to affect you at all. And stay with me, because the next part will hit even harder. I'm going to show you how to make sure that when they do come back, you never hand them control again, because the real power is in making them do the work this time. Number 4, real power makes them work for your attention. Respect is never given to what is too easy to reach. It is earned through effort. This is where most people fail without even realizing it. The moment they get that text, hey, they throw the doors wide open. Suddenly it's, hey, I missed you too. Where have you been? I'm so glad you texted. And just like that, all the progress, all the strength, all the mystery is gone in an instant. My friends, this is exactly why so many people get pulled right back into the same cycle they worked so hard to escape. Here's the truth. Attention that is given freely is attention that will never be valued. If you want to keep your frame, if you want to be respected, you have to stop rewarding low effort with instant access. Because when you reward casual behavior, you send one clear message. You can come and go as you please, and I'll always be here waiting. And when someone feels that about you, their respect for you fades. Think about it this way. Imagine a job where you can show up whenever you feel like it, work as little as you want, and still get paid the same as everyone else. Would you ever value that job? No. You'd get lazy, careless, and entitled because there's no accountability. That's exactly how relationships work when you let someone waltz back into your life with no explanation and no effort. A high-value person does not operate like that. They don't give out second chances for free. They don't hand out forgiveness without real actions to back it up. And most importantly, they don't let someone who disappeared just slide back into their life without being held accountable. So what do you do instead? You make them work for your attention. You shift the power dynamic back where it belongs, on your side. And the way you do that is simple. You stop giving away your energy before they've earned it. The next time they text you casually, don't flood them with paragraphs. Don't unload weeks or months of feelings you've been holding inside. Instead, you respond with one simple, powerful question. What made you reach out? That one line changes everything. It puts all the pressure back on them. It forces them to explain why they're contacting you now. It shows you're not desperate for their attention. You're curious about their intentions. And trust me, this is where the real test begins. Because someone who genuinely cares will be honest, clear, and willing to show effort. But someone who just wants to see if they still have power over you, they'll stumble. They'll avoid the question. They'll try to keep things surface level. And that's where you win, because now, instead of you chasing clarity, you're making them bring it to you. Here's the mindset you need to adopt. I am not a revolving door. I am not a backup plan. I am not a free trial someone can use whenever they're bored. You're no longer giving away your time, attention, and energy just because someone remembered you exist. Your presence is earned. Your forgiveness is earned. Your attention is earned. This doesn't mean you have to be rude or cold for no reason. It simply means you start valuing yourself enough to set a standard. If they walked away, they don't get to walk back in without effort. If they left you in silence, they don't get instant conversation without explanation. And if they want a place in your life again, they have to prove why they deserve it. Because here's the reality. When you make someone work for your attention, two things happen. First, you filter out the people who only came back out of boredom or ego. Second, you gain the respect of the ones who genuinely care. People value what they have to earn. They respect what requires effort. They admire what doesn't bend just because they want it to. And this isn't about playing games, it's about creating a dynamic where your worth is acknowledged. Too many people think that love means giving endless chances, endless forgiveness, endless access. But true self-respect means knowing when to open the door and when to leave it closed. So remember this. Every time you respond with strength instead of desperation, you're sending a silent but powerful message. My life doesn't pause for you anymore. If you want a place in it, prove you belong here. Say it right now and write it in the comments. I make people earn my presence. Say it like you mean it. Show it to yourself. Let the world see that you're not just another option, because you're not. You are the prize. And stay with me, because in the next part, I'm going to reveal the key to maintaining that power, even when they try to act like nothing happened. This is where most people slip, but you won't, because you're learning exactly how to hold your frame like the 1% who never fails. Number 5. If they're casual, you stay colder. The colder you stay, the hotter their respect for you burns. Here's the mistake almost everyone makes. They get that little "hey" message, and instead of matching reality, they match the hope in their head. They light up, they reply fast, they act like nothing happened, like weeks or months of silence never existed. And what happens? The other person learns they can disappear, put in zero effort, and still get the same version of you whenever they want. But listen to me carefully, my friends. When someone comes back casually, like nothing happened, the worst thing you can do is meet them with warmth. Because that warmth, that excitement, that eagerness, it tells them everything. It tells them you've been waiting. It tells them they still have the same power over you. It tells them they can leave again, and you'll still be there when they feel like returning. You need to flip the script. If they're casual, you stay colder. Think of it like fire. A fire only burns if you keep feeding it. If you throw wood on it, it grows. But if you stop feeding it, if you give it nothing, it dies out. Your reaction is the wood. Every quick reply, every overly warm response, it's all fuel. If you want to see if someone truly values you, starve the fire, remove the fuel, see if they're willing to put in effort to keep it alive. And let's be honest here, if someone vanished on you, if they left you wondering and hurting, why should they get to come back without even acknowledging what they did? Why should they be allowed to act like the silence never happened? That's not how respect works. Respect isn't just about what you give, it's about what you require. But I know what some of you are thinking. If I stay cold, won't they just leave again? Maybe. But here's the truth. If your worth depends on how warm and available you are, then they never truly valued you anyway. Someone who only sticks around because you make it easy isn't someone worth keeping. What staying colder does is it filters out the ones who aren't serious. It shows who's willing to step up and who's only there for their ego. A person who truly wants to be in your life won't run from a little distance. They'll close it. They'll show effort. They'll do what it takes to rebuild trust. And here's the key. You don't have to be rude, bitter, or mean. You simply have to be calm, neutral, and firm. Don't play pretend. Don't act like everything is fine. Don't give them the version of you they abandoned. Instead, give them the version of you who has grown, who has options, who knows that not everyone deserves instant access anymore. Think of it like a bouncer at a club. Not everyone gets in. The ones who do, they earn it. They follow the rules. They respect the standards. That's how you have to treat your time and energy. You're the bouncer at the door of your own life. And if someone left, they don't get VIP treatment just because they decided to show up again. Because here's the harsh truth. People respect distance when it's earned. They admire those who don't hand out their attention like free samples. And when you stay colder, you show strength. You show that your peace is more important than their sudden interest. You show that you've built a life where their presence is optional, not essential. Every time you match their casual energy with even less, you're silently saying, "I'm not here to make you comfortable, I'm here to protect my peace." And trust me, that quiet power speaks louder than any desperate message ever could. And so the next time they act like nothing happened, don't give them the reaction they're expecting. Don't reward them with instant warmth. Instead, stay calm, stay composed. Let them feel the distance they created. Because that space, that quiet gap, is where respect is rebuilt or lost forever. And if they can't handle the colder version of you, good, let them go, because someone who can't handle your standards never deserved your presence in the first place. Say it right now and write it in the comments. I don't match low effort. Let it be your new standard. Show yourself and the world that you're done being easy to reach, because you've grown. You've changed. You're no longer the person who waits by the phone hoping for scraps of attention. Stay with me, my friends, because in the next part, I'm going to expose one of the sneakiest traps they'll try to use when they come back, the friendship mask. And trust me, if you're not careful, it's the fastest way to fall right back into their control. Number 6, don't fall for the friendship mask. Some people don't come back to love you, they come back to keep you from moving on. This is one of the sneakiest tricks they will use when they return. Instead of coming back with real effort, real clarity, or real apologies, they slip on a mask and say something like, "Hey, I just wanted to check on you," as a friend. Let's catch up sometime, no pressure. And at first, it sounds innocent, it sounds kind, it sounds like maybe they just want peace between you. But my friends, listen carefully. Most of the time, this isn't friendship, this is control. Think about it like this. Imagine you quit a job because it drained you, it treated you poorly, and it never paid you what you deserved. And months later, your old boss calls and says, "Hey, I don't want to rehire you, but can we stay in touch? Maybe you can still help me out once in a while." Sounds ridiculous, right? Because why would you give free effort to someone who never valued you? That's exactly what's happening when they come back wearing the friendship mask. Here's the truth. They know what they did. They know they left. They know they vanished. And deep down, they know they no longer deserve a front row seat in your life. But instead of owning that, they settle for the next best thing, staying just close enough to keep you from fully letting go. Because as long as you're their friend, as long as you stay in their orbit, they know they still have a piece of you. And here's the dangerous part. It feels safe to accept it. It feels like you're being mature. It feels like you're choosing peace over drama. But what you're really doing is accepting less than you deserve. You're telling them, "Wow, it's okay that you left me hanging. You can still have access to my life without earning it back." And once you allow that, you've put yourself in second place in your own story. Friendship isn't a consolation prize for someone who walked away. True friendship is built on trust, respect, and consistency, not on convenience, not on guilt, and definitely not on someone trying to keep you close, just enough to stroke their ego. But I get it. You might tell yourself, maybe it's better to have them as a friend than lose them completely. That thought right there is the trap. Because if you're scared to lose them, you're already giving them power again. And that fear is exactly why they play the friendship card. It keeps you tethered, keeps you available, keeps you from moving on. Ask yourself this: if someone truly cared about you, would they disappear without explanation, then come back offering crumbs instead of clarity? Would they expect you to accept their terms after they already broke yours? No. Real love, real respect, doesn't hide behind friendship. So what do? You raise your standards. You stop giving people who left a seat at your table just because they suddenly want to sit down again. If they walked away, if they let you go, they need to earn their place back with effort, not empty words. You don't go backward. You don't settle for less than what you deserve just to keep someone around. Because here's the truth, if you accept the friendship mask, you're telling them you're okay with being downgraded. You're saying, I'll take whatever you give me, even if it's not what I truly want. And that, my friends, is exactly why they never take you seriously again. You're better than that. You've grown, you've healed, you've built a life where your peace is priceless. And the version of you they left behind, that person doesn't exist anymore. So when they come back with that casual, friendly offer, remember this: friendship isn't what they really want. They're not trying to build a deep connection. They're trying to keep you on standby, just in case. Don't give them that satisfaction. Say it with me right now and write it in the comments. I refuse to be second place in my own life. Let it be your standard. Let it be the line you never cross again. Because once you stop accepting half effort, half love, half respect, everything changes. You'll realize that keeping someone as a friend who didn't value you isn't maturity, it's self-betrayal. And you're done betraying yourself. And stay with me, because in the next part, we're going to break one of the deepest lies people believe, that closure is something they need from the other person. The truth will set you free, and it's a lesson most people never learn. Number 7. You don't need closure, you need clarity. Closure is not something they give you, it's a decision you make for yourself. This is where so many people get stuck. They convince themselves that the only way to move forward is to get answers. They think, if I can just understand why they left, if I can just get them to explain, if I can just hear them admit what they did, then I'll finally be at peace. But my friends, that is one of the biggest lies we've been taught about love and relationships. Because real closure doesn't come from them, it comes from you. Think about it like this. Imagine you're standing at the ruins of a house that burned down. You could spend years trying to figure out exactly how the fire started, who was responsible, and why no one put it out. But does that change the fact that the house is gone? No. At some point, you have to decide, are you going to stand there forever looking at the ashes, or are you going to build a new home somewhere else? That's what seeking closure is like. You're standing in the ruins, waiting for the very person who set the fire to come back and explain why they lit the match. And even if they do explain, even if they do say all the words you've been waiting to hear, it doesn't erase what happened. It doesn't undo the pain. It doesn't rebuild what they destroyed. Here's the hard truth. They know why they left. They know why they disappeared. And if they truly wanted to fix it, they wouldn't have left you with more questions than answers in the first place. Someone who really cares about you doesn't vanish and then expect you to wait for an explanation. But I know why we crave closure. It's because we don't want to feel like the story ended without us having control over it. We want the final chapter to be written in a way that makes sense. We want to know it wasn't all for nothing. The problem is, when you chase closure, you're still handing them power. You're saying, I can't move forward until you give me permission to. And that, my friends, is exactly how you get trapped in the same cycle all over again. Clarity, on the other hand, is different. Clarity is when you decide, I don't need their explanation. I don't need their apology. I know what happened. I know how I felt, and I know what I deserve moving forward. Clarity is powerful because it puts the control back in your hands. It says, you no longer get to define my peace. I choose it for myself. And the moment you realize that, you become unstoppable. So instead of waiting for them to give you closure, give it to yourself. Stop replaying the past in your mind, hoping for a different ending. Stop waiting for the perfect explanation that will finally make the pain go away. Accept that sometimes the only answer you'll ever get is that they weren't the person you thought they were. And that's okay. Because you don't need their words to heal. You don't need their validation to move on. You don't need their presence to be whole. The real power is in setting new standards, in deciding that from this moment forward, you only give your energy to those who truly deserve it. Every second you spend waiting for closure is a second you could spend building a life so good that their return, their words, their explanations don't even matter anymore. And that is when you truly win, when they no longer hold the power to affect your peace. So as we close this out, I want you to say it out loud and write it in the comments. My clarity is my freedom. Let that be your truth. Let that be your standard. Because remember this, they didn't come back because you chased. They came back because you stopped. And how you handle this moment will define the kind of person you choose to be from here on out. Are you going to be like the 99% who give away their power the second someone returns? Or are you going to be the 1% who holds the frame, who leads with self-respect, who never settles for less than what they deserve? If you're ready to be in that 1%, drop "I hold the frame" in the comments right now. Show yourself, show the world, show that you're done chasing, done begging for answers, done letting someone else control your story. And if this hit you hard today, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and stay with me, because this is just the beginning. You're becoming stronger, wiser, more unshakable with every choice you make. From this moment forward, you don't wait for closure. You create clarity. You protect your peace. You lead your life. You hold the frame.